What's up guys, Luke here from Luke's Points and Miles, and today I'm in the process of digesting some information you guys provided on your favorite international airlines to transfer your points and miles to. I have to say that I do not exactly share your opinions. Now let me explain. In the community post, I've posted 4 different polls for you to vote on your favorite international airline transfer partner. 4 heats or groups. And in these heats of 4, the top 2 will move on to next week's polls. The difference with next week is the partners will be seeded according to their vote percentage they achieved in their original heat. As of the time of posting this, the first round went off without notice, and I will go over the results and explain what happens next. As I talk about the partners, I'll include an example of a popular way to use their program. It's a fun exercise to see which airlines you guys prefer, and there's a chance we can learn something at the same time. If you want to stay up to date with the results and the videos that will eventually accompany the results, then subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Learning the audience's preferences will help me choose topics for my videos, and we all win. If this is interesting to you, I'd like to see you comment below which partner you think will take gold in this competition. Since there was no notice for this, I will leave the polls up until the end of the week, so those of you interested in clicking on your favorite partner, you can do so. But for this video, I will sort of forecast the score as of now. Hopefully, this might get a few more eyeballs on the polls and also next week's polls. Let me get right into this with the first poll that was published. This poll, we pitted the following 4 partners against each other, and this one turned out a little different than I thought it would. So far, Asia Miles is coming in last place and will likely not move on. Now, Asia Miles is the points program for Cathay Pacific and recently just suffered a pretty stiff devaluation. But their points are still a great way to fly American Airlines to the UK because it's a way to bypass those super hefty British Airways taxes and surcharges. Cathay Pacific, headquartered in Hong Kong, is a pretty solid way to visit the special administrative region of China. Put it this way, you can visit Hong Kong without a visa, but for China, you'll need to apply for a visa. I don't know. I've always wanted to visit that place. Either way, it sounds like most of you aren't headed there. How do you earn Asia Miles? Well, the best way is to transfer them out from credit card programs. Here are the issuers and my favorite cards to use from those issuers to rack up points. Asia Miles are a transfer partner with American Express. I rack up the most points with my American Express Gold card for sure. You can also use Citibank. To transfer points with Citi, you'll need my favorite Citi card, the Citi Premier. Capital One is also a transfer partner, and my favorite card with them is the super popular Venture X card. So lots of options, no chase. Coming in third right now and recently rated as the #1 airline in the entire world is Singapore Airlines KrisFlyer. I think this program was a victim of being in a very tough heat because Singapore should likely be more popular. Obviously, it's a great way to fly to Singapore, but they also have the most legendary first-class products, the Singapore Suites. The most popular way, I think, to use KrisFlyer miles is how I'm going to be using them very, very soon. The 5th Freedom flight from New York City to Frankfurt, Germany. I'm actually super excited to fly this carrier, and I hope to get some great footage for you guys. You can rack up KrisFlyer miles through Chase, especially with your Sapphire Preferred, or Chase Business Inc. Preferred. You can also transfer over from American Express, especially if you're carrying the Platinum card. Citi is also a transfer partner, and remember, you'll need the Citi Premier. Finally, you can transfer over your Capital One miles, but you don't actually need the Venture X. A regular Venture card will do just fine. Currently in second place is one of my top favorite partners, Air France KLM. Air France is a great way to fly to Europe as they have a lot of direct flights to both Paris and Amsterdam. They have specials that hit every month, and they have a big time hard product. I'll be flying them to Prague this fall, and I can't wait to show you guys the seats. What a lot of folks don't know though is that Air France also flies from LAX to Bora Bora. That might be a way to execute your big time aspirational once in a lifetime trip. You can also use American Express MR points, Capital One miles, Chase, and Citi. So there are many ways to rack up a lot of Air France KLM miles when you need them. Right now, leading the way is the powerhouse British Airways. This kind of surprised me because even though BA is really popular, I'd never used them to fly to the UK because they'll tax you almost $1,000 on a business class ticket just in the fees. One popular way is to use BA for short haul flights on American Airlines metal. I can fly from Columbus to Miami direct for 9,000 BA Avios. That's a great deal. The same could be said for their AA flights to the Caribbean. British Airways is also popular with the banks, and you can use American Express, Chase. They even have a co-branded card with Chase Bank and Capital One. Now this is important to note as well. The partners that earn Avios as a currency, such as BA, Iberian, Aer Lingus, and Qatar, can all be interchanged and transferred. So using the current BA bonus when transferring American Express MR points can be a great way to collect Qatar Avios. You get that? So as it stands for the moment, it looks like British Airways and Air France KLM will advance to the quarterfinals. I think that's reasonable, and I think they're both a very strong contender for this tournament. Let's look at the second heat in this part 1 video. I'm going to have to make a second video for the third and fourth heats. The second heat I think may change once we get more eyeballs on the poll, but so far the status goes like this. Bringing up the rear, and I mean way back in the rear, is Etihad. Etihad is one of those programs I'd really like. They're known as the flagship carrier of Abu Dhabi, and I know you can still book American Airlines with Etihad points, but if I'm completely honest, I'm not all familiar with the process. I'm 99% sure you have to call them, and even though I have had overwhelmingly great service from Middle Eastern techs, I'm not interested in calling anyone. I don't even speak to my wife on the phone. I think 3 times in the last 10 years, maybe. Most of the Etihad redemptions I see, like New York to Casablanca on Royal Jordanian business class, can be had for less points with another program. It's tough to transfer to Etihad unless you really need to get to Abu Dhabi. If you do, you can transfer them from American Express, Capital One, and Citi. So you do have some options. Now here's where this gets very interesting. The first place in this heat seems to be determined, but the race for second is very close. Currently in third place is one of my favorite programs, Avianca Life Miles. Avianca has some of the best partner redemptions for business class tickets to Europe on carriers like Swiss Air, United, Lufthansa, I mean, you name it. Austrian Airlines, Brussels Air. How about Chicago to Frankfurt on Lufthansa first class without paying the fuel charges? You can fly from North America to Europe for 63,000 life miles and there won't be any fuel surcharges. Nice. Transfer from American Express, Capital One, and Citi. No Chase. I have heard stories, however, that if you need to make changes, you may be in for somewhat of a headache with Avianca. Barely edging out Avianca at the time of this recording is Emirates. Emirates is a great way to take a very expensive flight to Dubai, but they do also have some sweet spots, at least in theory. JFK to Milan is 90,000 miles round trip in business, if you can find it. I've not had the best luck in finding that price. I actually checked out one today and it's New Jersey's EWR to Athens, Greece direct, and I think it was around 88,000 each way, which won't likely knock your Aunt Connie's socks off, but if you want to get to Greece quickly and in style, then it could make sense. I do want to mention that that currently is its old 232 business class, so it's not crazy awesome. You can plus up your Emirates points with American Express, Chase, Citi, and Capital One, so a lot of opportunity. Smoking the competition in the second heat is Air Canada's Aeroplan. Aeroplan is a super strong partner. I like the round trip from US to Europe in business class for 120,000 miles on Star Alliance partners. I actually used Aeroplan for my trip over to Frankfurt on Singapore, and it was cheaper than using the KrisFlyer miles. You might want to fly to the Middle East on Etihad. Maybe you book it through Airline for 85,000 miles, one way in business class, like Washington Dulles to Abu Dhabi. They have a ton of ways to use their points, so it makes sense that they got so many votes. Transfer from Amex, Chase, and Capital One. Since this video isn't exactly short, I'll split this up and I'll cover the second two heats very soon. If you guys are interested in any of the cards mentioned, you can start accumulating tons of transferable currencies by checking out my super organized card link in the description below. And let me know when you do so I can thank you personally. Guys, if you stayed all the way to the end, I thank you and I appreciate every single one of you.